Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Beavis and Butthead Do America, featuring the voices of Mike Judge, Bruce Willis, and Demi Moore, directed by Mike Judge. Now I've seen this movie a few times back before I ever watched the show, but I did watch the show when I was like in high school, so I kind of know what the humor is like. So let's see how this movie goes compared to the TV show, because I love the TV show and how hysterical it is. Let's get into it. The movie opens with the dream of Butthead, where he and Beavis, both voiced by Mike Judge, walk over the city as giants as Butthead tries to beat up Beavis, and they try to score with a normal sized human, and they wake up with the TV being gone, as it takes the dimwits a while to realize they need to find their TV or buy a new TV, which, how stupid are these two? Pretty freaking stupid if you ask me. I do like the opening credits of Beavis and Butthead as they're cops, and Isaac Hayes sings the theme song to this movie as it feels smooth. Beavis and Butthead try to steal the TV back to their house as they're stopped by one of their teachers, which isn't Mr. Buzzcut, but I forget the blonde surfer dude's name. But Principal McVicker expels them from the school, and it was funny when Butthead says, "Cool." Beavis and Butthead go into Tom Anderson's trailer to try to watch the TV until Beavis gets a drink, and as it's warm, he spits it out and goes, "Ah, this crap is warm!" And the next thing you know, they go into a motel room to watch the TV as they meet Muddy Grimes, voiced by Bruce Willis, as he offers them $10,000 to do his wife Dallas, voiced by Demi Moore, who was married to Bruce at the time, as he gets a room next to hers in Las Vegas. And they get on the airplane, and the plane scene is funny because Beavis screams, "Ah, we're gonna die!" And Butthead falls down while taking off his seatbelt, and as the plane takes off as well. And the next thing you know, Beavis takes some pills and some sugar as he becomes the Great Cornholio, who's Beavis but out of control. And they both enter the cockpit, and they land to Vegas and find someone in the limo business looking for Beavis and Butthead as Beavis and Boothead. I love that name, by the way. That's the funniest part. It's so quotable, it's hilarious. They drive to their homeland, cause shenanigans in Vegas, while Muddy is going to Vegas to kill Dallas. Beavis and Butthead and Bruce does do a good job voicing a drunkard. The next day, Beavis and Butthead enter the hotel room and get pulled into Dallas's room as they tell her Muddy paid them and puts them in a bus to Washington, D.C., as she puts a tracking device in Beavis' pants as the ATF arrives at the hotel to interrogate Dallas to find the tracking device, or the unit, let's call it. And the plot is funny and interesting at the same time, as two dimwit teenagers go from Las Vegas to Washington, D.C. But unfortunately, it's not as funny as the TV show, in my opinion. Beavis and Butthead arrive at the Hoover Dam, and Beavis asks if it's a goddamn, which did make me laugh, but the Boothead line said by Beavis is the best line in this whole movie, and I'm going to just say it for the rest of the show. I'm sorry. I'm going to call Butthead Boothead for that reason alone. And they get to the control room and flips the switches and the power back and forth because Beavis' butt is itching him to death. As they go back to the bus, and their next stop is Grand Canyon as everyone leaves Beavis and Butthead, or watch Beavis and Butthead watches the show, whereas Beavis and Butthead watch a donkey take a dump. And as they go everywhere, they see different names of towns that'll be rubbed the wrong way. And as they arrive at Yellowstone, they see the water pop while Beavis and Butthead play with the urinals as the bus takes off without them. And they go on a bus with nuns in them as they go on their adventures to church. As they act like priests, which made me smile but not necessarily laugh, as the TV show is better as far as the humor is concerned. The nun bus goes off without Beavis and Boothead, and they walk in the desert to Washington, D.C. while being wanted men by the ATF for doing a job for Dallas, as they get exhausted after walking for miles as they see their lookalikes while the ATF search for their location. As they go by the house and their school brings some information about the lookalikes as their fathers, while they tell the story of two sluts, as I get the impression it's their fathers as their mothers giving them birth, as they take off the next morning and they walk some more as they're completely exhausted without water around them. And I'm not laughing as much as I should be. And the problem is the writing on the TV show is much funnier than the writing in the movie, as Beavis and Boothead see things with their eyes like their lives. In some music videos, as they're asleep and exhausted, they get picked up by Muddy with a gun, and he puts them in the trunk of his car because they know where Dallas is going to, as he's listening to a loud music and drinks beer on the road while they open the trunk and jump on the road. And how could people not see that? I mean, honestly, it's a real problem with that, with not just the movie but the show as well. The police chief finds them on the TV while Beavis and Boothead go back on the bus to Washington, D.C., and as they arrive, they go in the Capitol, where Dallas and Muddy also catch up with the the unit, is as Muddy and sees Beavis and Boothead are not in Muddy's trunk, as they plan on killing them together, as Beavis and Boothead go to the White House on the bus as Dallas rats out Muddy, and Beavis takes some more pills and eats more sugar and acts like the Great Corn Hoodie. The ATF realizes they're heading to the White House. As they get in the White House, Beavis goes off on his own while acting crazy as he asks for TP for his bunghole, which is always the funniest reactions from Beavis as he calls from the president's phone and acts like the Great Cornholio, while Bootheads get thrown out the window by the president's daughter and gets a cavity search while at the White House is being evacuated, as the ATF now searches for Beavis, as he's led to believe Dallas is in Anderson's trailer, and whacks off in the trailer and is thrown out, and the ATF finds Beavis, and while Beavis is going crazy, and Anderson opens his trailer to give Beavis his pants, and they get the unit, and lands on Boothead's hand, gives it to the ATF and puts Anderson in it, with Muddy and Dallas, as they become heroes, and is thanked by the President of the United States, who was Bill Clinton at the time, as they go back home and find their TV and bring it home. And the climax is funny, but not as funny as the TV show. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.2 out of 10. This is a funny movie, but not as funny as the TV show, as the TV show is better than the movie. I do like we see the couple, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, were back in the 1990s, and I also like the fact that they showed at the time Bill Clinton was the President of the United States of America, as it's now been dated, as it was the 90s. The movie unfortunately doesn't hold up as well as the TV show, and we barely see the other characters from the show in this movie. And the best line in the whole movie is Boothead, and the scenes with the Great Corn Hoodie was funny at best. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for Beavis and Butthead Do America, and until next time, I am Corn Hoodie. I need TV for my bunghole.